They say that nice people finish last. Scott Stringer has proven that not to be the case. Nice people finish first. Because New Yorkers recognize, and they will recognize that again come election day, that we need a controller who understands the average New Yorker, who will fight for every single person in the city to make sure that city resources are spent in the right way, and there is no better person to do that than Scott Stringer as controller. And today is not a political gathering, it's an opportunity to spend some time at the Sukkah together, as Brad just articulated, and we'll soon hear that from Rabbi Berg. But I wanted to congratulate Scott and tell you how much your victory is meaningful to us, to me, to myself, to my family, to Gabi, to our entire family. We've been in the trenches together. We've spent family time together, and we're continuing this tradition.
It's wonderful to see so many friends here. I was actually thinking back today to 4 years ago, after a very, in my first election, in which many folks in the room were very supportive and helpful, and one of the first ways we celebrated was in Ezra and Gabi's Sukkah. So it's an honor to be back here 4 years later. As everyone in the room knows, it's a great time for reflecting on where we've come from, who we are, who we were a long time ago, what it was to be a people who were out having to harvest ourselves, how much we depend on God's grace for, even though we don't always think about it, the food we eat and for our very existence. And it's easy to get away from that in modern society and not recognize just how lucky and blessed and dependent we are. And there's something about looking up and seeing the sky that really grounds you. And I think also for me, it's a real reminder, unfortunately, of just how many people look up and see the sky and don't have a roof over their heads so many days. We've got more than 50,000 New Yorkers living without homes. And those of us who are lucky all the days other than Sukkot to have them, especially now, I think when we invite the Ushbazin in, are thinking not only of our forefathers, but of other folks who need a home to be in. So I am so grateful, to be with all of you and to have the opportunity. I look forward to sticking around and welcoming some of our other guests as well, even if they're not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but we'll welcome them. And again, thanks to so many good friends. Special thanks to Ezra and to Gabi, who've always been so important welcoming me into the community. It's great to be here with Yerucham and all the progress that's been made at Royal Park JCC, and with Tinny. Really, everyone in the room is an Askan. So it's an honor to be in this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I would have known this was a Shtreimel event, I would have brought my Shtreimel as well. Next time you should put that on the invitation. RSVP and Shtreimel, please. My very sure agrees with me.
I wanted to make you feel comfortable.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's terrific to be here today. I will state for the record that the Liska Sukkah is wonderful, although my personal preference is for the Friedlander penthouse. I look forward to getting back to that after the Yom Tovim. I am really grateful, obviously, that we all could be here on this beautiful Yom Tov of Chol Hamoed of Sukkot. I think it's a wonderful occasion, especially to welcome the next controller of the city of New York, Scott Stringer. We're very excited about him. And as Rabbi Berg pointed out, and it was half in jest, but I think it's true, Sukkot really is a time of celebration. And it is a very big celebration, of course, after the primaries are over. You look back and you say, hey, we had a very difficult go at it in terms of many different races, but one of the most critical races was making sure that we have a good guy in the office of controller, and it matters. It's a very significant office. It oversees literally the entire budget of the city of New York. It invests my personal pension dollars, and Scott will be watching very closely on that. I hope the returns go up. But seriously, there was a very significant race, and I think the community came together and sent a very clear message that we supported Scott Stringer because he was not only the right guy, but he was the good guy. We had a good guy, we had a not such good guy, and we had a race, and ultimately the not just the community, but the city rallied around Scott. And that particularly makes it a significant achievement, because there were a lot of races. There were a lot of races where you had two good people that were running against each other, and one person wins and one person loses, and not always does this concept of the best man win actually always come to fruition. But in this particular case, it did happen. And I've said before on many occasions, Scott is someone who understands our community. Scott is someone who really appreciates what we go through. I've said it before, many of us were at the barista Scott had for his son not that long ago. How's he doing, by the way?
Excellent. All good.
Very good. Baruch Hashem.
Thank you.
And he's someone who really cares about the community, understands where we're coming from. And I can say that myself, and I know Friedlander as well, the adjoining council member, we're very excited to work with Scott in the future. We're excited to have everybody here. We thank Ezra for your hospitality. I see the cookie's a little bit cold, but nonetheless, we're going to enjoy our outing in the Sukkah. And I especially want to thank Rabbi Berg for coming in. Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us, especially the illustrious guests that we have here. And thank you once again to Ezra Friedlander for your hospitality. This is really very, very lovely. And I saw Brad was actually taking the dimensions. I think he's going to be putting in a small family here after Sukkot. Be aware. I'm not sure what that does to the zoning of the shul inclusionary housing, but you can discuss it with Brad afterwards. Maybe you can go up a few more stories to compensate.
What's the price? 160,000 units.
Yes, exactly. This is Unit 1, Mitty. Unit 1, right here in Borough Park. Thank you, folks.
But there are two elected officials who also understand that we've got to sometimes meet in the middle to build coalitions. And they've both been doing that. And I have to tell you, in my campaign as well, Brad Lander and David Greenfield were so strong on my behalf. They're the reason, in large part, why we were so successful. And I just want to say to both of you, you didn't support me because I have a nice smile. You supported me because you want me and all of us to work together on the issues that you champion. And I just want to say to both of you, I'm not going to let you down, because you put your credibility and you put your beliefs on the line, and you have to go back to your neighborhoods and say to people that you've made the right choice. And I really look forward to working with both of you. And I also want to say that this was such an immense coalition, both the Jewish community, our elected officials, and people in every neighborhood, black, brown. We really brought together the best of New York. But we could not have gotten there with the early support of the people who represent working folks in this city, the people who every day are struggling to make it, and they're falling farther and farther behind. And that's the goal of the next administration, is how we bring people and lift people up, no matter how you start or where you come from. Part of what this holiday is also about is to recognize that we can't keep walking in the desert. We've got to find homes, as Brad mentioned, and we have to build communities and give people the economic help they need. And the person who I went to very early on when I said I want to be controller, would you support me? And without even looking up from his plate of pasta, Stuart Applebaum said, the answer is yes, I endorse you. And he was the first. And I want to say thank you, Stuart, for your So just in conclusion, I'm very honored about tonight. I'm very honored to be part of this community. I just want to say to all of you that we get through November. I'm going to keep my promise. I'm going to work at this job with great integrity. I'm going to work to meet the challenges that this neighborhood faces and our people face, because the challenges really are enormous. But I am actually optimistic on this day of celebration. I do think change is coming, and I do think there's a real opportunity to sort of reshuffle the deck and get everybody to a place where they have to be. So whether you come to this city from somewhere else, or you've been living here for many, many years, let's all commit ourselves to really working for our children and our families and the people who we love. It's called the City of New York, and I'm very honored to be here tonight. And thank you very much. I'm only having one piece of it. Thank you, and God bless you.
A great combination of things. You have Ezra Friedlander hosting something for Scott Stringer. Can you imagine a better activity to do? So whether I'm 10 days out from an election, before or after, one day out, I would never miss it. So congratulations.
You gotta get moving.
There's a few undecided voters in the Sukkah, and
I was at a block party yesterday. It only had like 4 people at it,
and every one of them had just seen Daniel. So it's like he's getting every single voter.
That's what we're doing. That's the same thing I've always done. But anyway, so first of all, a great congratulations to Scott Stringer. We are so excited to have him now in Brooklyn. I've shared a district with him, but never been represented by him, and now I can.
That's right.
So that's great news.
Thank you so much.
And of course, to our great council members on either side of Scott Stringer. Brad Land on his left, David Greenfield on his right. It's great to see you.
You did this, Joe.
Okay, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu yisrael v'tzivonu al netilas lulav. Amen. We shake in all directions, showing that God is all over. We're up, down, right, left,
Right, left.
and you're good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.